and never be ashamed or afraid of sharing your story. When I started speaking, Jamar was the one who pushed me and said, Nas, you need to stop withholding this thing that you know we went through, because people are going to be blessed by it. And it's a good thing that I did, because I travel the world right now and all I share is my story.
Welcome to day 3 of our Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit. It has been a fantastic summit thus far. And today I have with me Ambassador Jamar and Natassia Wright. They are from Jamaica. They are UN ambassadors and founders of Mind Food International. Together, this husband and wife team serve as leadership practitioners, radio talk show hosts, youth advocates, and inspirational speakers. They are the authors of 3 books. The first book, Mind Food, Recharge Your Mind, was published in 2014. The second, 30 Days to a Renewed Mind, was published in 2016. The third, Hope Giver, From Woundedness to Wholeness, will be published soon. Their company, Mind Food International, provides the ultimate conference training experience, whether corporate or otherwise, both locally and on the international scene. Mind Food International Limited develops, activates, and transforms people to become leaders. Through their work through Mind Food, they were both awarded the Governor General's Award for Excellence in Leadership for the parish of St. Catherine in 2019. The Wrights founded Mind Food from sending morning inspirations through emails, and after hosting an empowerment forum in 2013 with 80 participants, they went ahead to set up their organization. Today, they've held over 40 different seminars and conferences locally and internationally, attracting corporate entities and leaders from across the world. Their radio show in Jamaica is on News Talk 93 FM, and it's called The Hope Dealers. Without further ado, let's welcome His Honor Excellency Jamar Natassia Wright to the summit.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's so good to have you. And it's the first time we're having a couple on our summit. And I know you both have very inspirational stories. So I want you to take us back in time and just tell us a little bit of your story, so that our audience will get a better understanding of why you both are hope dealers.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, I have to go first. Okay, no problem. So I was born and raised in an inner city community called Almontown. Like I said, poor area. And it was tough growing up there. But you know, when you're young, you don't really know that you're poor. You just know that you don't have certain things like other people. But we never went to bed hungry, so it wasn't like we were in that much of a deplorable state. But I can recall just being 10 years old, coming home from primary school. I'm in the 5th grade. And I came home to find my house burned flat to the ground. I believe that was like one of the most traumatic experiences I had, because, you know, to see that our home was completely demolished, it was just heart-wrenching for me. But we picked up the pieces. About 10 of us as relatives lived in that big family yard, and it was a rough few months. Now, about 8 months after that, I came home to worse news. This time, my great-grandmother told me that my father was shot and killed. Now, my father was actually a police officer, and he was killed while in the line of duty. And this was even more gut-wrenching for me, because my dad was my hero. He was my, listen, let me tell you something. My father was my everything, because my mother and I, we didn't get along so well, but my dad, oh my, he would bring me Valentine's Day gift. He would come and visit me. He was just amazing. And I suffered from depression. From that very young age, I was suffering from depression, because I got up every day looking forward to finding out that I was in a dream. I did not want to accept that it was real. But mind you, Kamika, I still did well in school. So although all these things were happening to me inside, I was still progressing in school. And I passed my GSAT and moved on to Wholeness High School for girls, still going through my emotional issues because of the death of my father. And while I was in fifth form, my mother, she had moved on, she got married. While I was in fifth form one Saturday, my mother said she was going to go to the hospital to get nebulized because she was having an asthma attack. And she told me to stay with my younger brother because there was no one else at home to take care of him. And that was the last time that I saw my mother alive. So now I'm 16 years old, no dad, just lost my mom. I was just lost. The worst part for me was that the Monday morning I had to go and sit my CXC exams. And I didn't want to go. I was told by my relatives I didn't have to go. But there was just something that pushed me because I remember my mother telling me in her final days that she didn't need me to pass all 8. She just wanted me to pass 6. She said, I remember her saying, Sunday, try and even pass 6. And I went to school that morning because my intention was if I couldn't pass 8, I was going to pass 6. I went to school. It was so hard. I cried through most of my exams, but as grace, I was able to finish them. Now, when exam results came out, I decided I wasn't going to go for no results because I was saying to myself, you feel everything. Imagine the stress I was going under, funeral preparation, graduation, all these different things. And my mother died, right? My grade coordinator called me because, she said she was so excited. She couldn't wait until I got to school. And she was the one who delivered the news that I ended up with 6 2s and 2 1s, meaning I didn't fail not one of those subjects. And nothing would have passed. All of them were 1s and 2s, So that was just God's grace because I don't know how I was able to do that. 1 year after my mother died, my grandmother who was taking care of us, she died from cancer. I've gone through a lot of things. Molestation, growing up in poverty, seeing gang violence, just seeing things happen that young people shouldn't be exposed to. And I like to share my story because people would not know, based on our titles, based on our achievements, people would not know where we're coming from. And so it's good to let people know that my reality is not as far away from yours as you would think. But we've gone through some stuff, but through faith and perseverance, we're able to share our story to just bless other people.
Oh, as you're sharing there, tears are welling up in my eyes. You went through all of this, but look at you today. No wonder you are a hope dealer. And today is we're closing this summit talking about the mindset for success. And if persons want to understand what it takes to be successful, they need to sit at your feet. And you guys are the right persons to be sharing. And your story is powerful. And I know that your husband's story is also powerful. So I'm going to invite Ambassador Wright to go ahead, Jamar, to share your story. And I'm saying, audience, don't cry. It's about developing the mindset for success despite the odds. Go right ahead, Ambassador.
Yeah, every time I listen to, I heard that story so many times because I guess there is not very much speaking engagement that NAS has that I've not been to an opposition, but every time I heard it, it gave me a new perspective. But my story, it's different from NAS, but it's also similar in some setting because I grew up in a place called Bagua, and many people, I know you have international audience online. And so if you are from the Caribbean, in the Caribbean, you have parish. In America, you call it state. So I grew up in a place called Bagua, St. Catherine. That's in the parish of St. Catherine. In America, you call it a state. And so when we when I was born in Bagua magazine, and I was born in a big board house. It was a big wooden board house. It was made out of what they call bagasse board at the time. And if any of you familiar with bagasse board, they say they made that board from the cane debris, the trash of the cane, and they put it together, and so they make it. It look like plywood, but it's from the cane trash. And so that board, it's easy to rot. It's not durable as a plywood. And so when we were born, I was born in this big board house. It was catch and 4 blocks. That's how they used to build those houses. And so it was zinc at the top. And so we used to have a thing called cellar. The floor used to be board floor, and you could actually drop through the flooring of the house and go underneath the house. And so when I was born in that house. Now remember I was telling you about the bagasse board. They are not very durable. And so imagine that house was built 30 years before I was born, because that house was built by my grandmother and grandfather. And very, very little to no repair was done on that house. And so the house and the roofing, it was zinc, and those zinc was rusted. It almost was brown. And so we used to have a Salitex inside the house to cover the zinc, to prevent the heat of the sun inside the house. And so the board flooring was deplorable as well. And we have a veranda, we have outside bathroom, we have outside kitchen. Everything was outside apart from the dwelling. And so 11 of us lived in that big board house. That big board house used to divide up into 3 rooms. One room was for my grandmother and grandfather, one room was for my mother, and the rest of the room was for me, my brother, and cousin. We used to live in here. And so we used to cook on fire, we used to bathe outside, and we also used to be on food stamp. We used to be on food stamp. I used to follow my grandmother to the police station to collect food stamp. And so we used to cook on wood fire. My grandmother used to cook on wood fire so much that my grandma developed what you call cataract, something that you can always Google it. It's cataract. She developed it from the smoke from the wood, because we did not have gas stove. And very good days like Christmas, we used coal stove, and so those pots would be black. And so we used to be on food stamp. And so every time you get food stamp, that money barely could stretch. And so they used to call that house the chicken coop of Bagua, because we were the only house in that particular lane that was made of wood. We were the only house in that community that did not have electricity. Yeah, we did not have electricity. And so if we need to watch TV, we'd have to go next door to watch TV, because we did not have any light. And so we were that poor, and so they used to call the house the chicken coop of the lane, because the house was deplorable. And they would say nobody in that household would ever amount to anything. And so they used to call my brother and I Rosie Lego Beast. They used to interchange the name between Rosie Lego Beast and Rosie Bad Beast son. And then say, you know what, we should put you guys into a jump and roll you away, because you serve no purpose on earth. And when my grandmother too, she used to call that house a dry weather house, because when it rains, every single thing in that house used to flood. And so we used to have to put every single dish on that mattress, because we had a mattress in our room. If water touched that mattress would sting. And so you have to roll up that mattress whenever it's raining. And so we have to find different side on the bed to sleep, because those old-time mattresses used to have a spring in it. And sometimes our mattress, it have so many wires coming up through there. And so sometimes you sleep and you wake up in the morning and you have a long bruise or a pour across your side. And so it was that kind of life. And also I remember we were growing up in poverty, and my grandmother used to always speak life into us, that if someone needs to break the poverty, someone needs to escape, because 11 of us can't live in this circumstance, this situation, and nobody needs it through. And so I remember one day when I was about to do GSAT, And it reached a point that where I used to only attend school number 2 times per week. I used to attend school on Monday and I used to attend school on Friday. And so the principal of the school, she said, you know what, I need to get in contact with your parents because no one should be coming to school this poorly. And so when I went home, I asked my mother, I said, Mommy, why is it that you can't send me to school every single day? And this is how my mother answered me. She went into her bag and she took out what you call a payslip. And this was the year 2000. This is 22 years ago. The year 2000, my mother went into her bag and she showed me her payslip. My mother was earning less than 2,000 Jamaican dollars per week. My mother was earning less than 2,000 Jamaican dollars per week. That's less than about 20 US. And so my mother showed me, my mother used to work at a place called Toller Estate. And what she used to do, she used to pour the fertilizer at the root of the cane when it was cane season. And when the cane season finished, she used to harvest the banana to get it packaged to go on the tractor for them to export the banana. And so my mother used to get paid every single Thursday at Toller Estate. And so when my mother get paid, she could send us to school on Friday. She could cook Saturday. She could cook Sunday. She barely could send us to school Monday and barely have enough money for us to eat our dinner on Monday. And so during Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we could not go to school. So we missed out a lot in school. And they used to call us Rose Lego Bees. And so, but I did GSAT. I was successful in GSAT. And they sent me to St. Mary's College in St. Catherine. That was another struggle for me, but we can't tell you all the story, but it was another struggle for me to go to school. Anyhow, I ended up getting a part-time job, and then from there doing CXC, and then from there end up at the University of Technology. But poverty have taught me a lot in terms of humility and having a mindset that you can change your life, you can turn around your life, and that if you want to be a success, it really starts with your mental capacity.
Thank you so much for sharing that. As you shared, Ambassador Jamar, well, let me say I was taken back because I can relate to your story. My grandmother raised 9 children. After my grandfather left her, we were considered the worst of the lot in St. Mary. So as you are talking, I'm like, well, we didn't get electricity until the year 2000. It's a story that many persons in the Caribbean can relate to, the board house, the poverty, outdoor facilities. But the amazing thing is, despite all of that, both you and your wife, you were able to rise above that. And now you are leaders. As we talk about the mindset for success, and you have books on that, how does one move from such humble beginnings and from being in such desperate situations to being in a position where you can impact the lives of others to rise above it all? Talk to us about that briefly.
Okay. The first thing you'd have to change is your mindset. And there's a thing that my wife and I we love to say is that your feet will never take you where your mind has never been. Let me say it again. Your feet will never take you where your mind has never been. And listen, even if you change your mind and your circumstance has not yet changed, eventually your circumstance will catch up to your mindset. Solomon said something, he's one of the ancient king of Israel, and I love Solomon. He was so wise and he was so profound. He said something profound. He said, as a man thinketh in his heart, not his chest, because the word heart in Greek, it simply means your subconscious mind. And in Hebrew, it means the center of reason. He says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Let me say that slowly. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And so once you start to renew your mind, Paul said it best, he said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so when you start to renew your mind with the right principle, with the right thoughts, your life will gradually begin to change step by step, step by step. When I leave Bagua, to come to university with my uncle and aunt. And my aunt introduced a book to me, and she said to me that, she said, if you read these books over the years, your life will change. I could not see the logic behind it, but now I can look back after 10 years reading over 500 books. I can see where my life has been changed, but it changed increment by increment. You're not going to see transformation, quantum leap in your life as you change your mind gradually, but over a period of time, that mind renewal will compound and give you a life. But you have to start with your mind. Nothing changes until your mind changes. Even if you make New Year's resolution, your new year will look like last year if your mind does not change.
Indeed.
Awesome.
I also want to add that you have to have a reference point. When I say reference point, I mean, you say that you want to change, you want a reality to change. There needs to be a person or a train of thought that you want to emulate or be like, you know. So for example, we may be around the scale of our while and say, boy, I want to think like that. How do I get that, you know, how do I get there? And then you may find out from talking to them that, listen, I had to remove certain things. My self-esteem was low. I didn't think much of myself. You know, I was shy to talk to people. I would engage people if we were in a crowd. I didn't know how to communicate. And then you have to start making your notes to say, okay, this is what I need to work on. It may take me 1 or 2 years. You know, I need to be more confident. I need to go to more seminars and workshops, but you need a reference point. You need people that you can look to say, okay, I want the confidence of a Ruth Taylor. I want, you know, the work ethic of a Jamar Wright. And then you move towards it. But you have to have a reference point.
And that's very important, because all of us must have some role model in our life, somebody we can model. We're not going to copy them, because you don't want to become a cheap copy of a great original, but there are some things in your life that you should model. Another thing, that in order for you to change your mindset, apart from reading books and being around people who are further than you, sometimes you have to leave your own community, you have to leave your own world, because there's a saying that Nasa and I love to say, if you can think you're a giant if you are the tallest amongst dwarf. But when you leave your world, you realize, oh my God, I am just a dwarf. You're a giant, so I'm not a giant. I was just tallest amongst dwarf. And so one of the things that when I was in Bagua, people used to say, Bagua is small. And I used to dismiss that idea that Bagua was small. The truth is, I've never been outside of Bagua. I've never been outside of Bagua. So the supermarket in Bagua, they look big. The wholesaling supermarket, they look big. Until I move out of Bagua and I realize that, look here, supermarket in Bagua, they're not big at all. They're small. There's only one company in Bagua. I used to believe that people in Bagua who owns a car were rich. And when I leave Bagua, I realized that the world, the Bagua was small. And so now when I go to Bagua, I'm in argument with people who never leave Bagua, because Bagua becomes their world. And guess what? Bagua is small. And so every single thing, every idea how the world looks, they view through the lens of Bagua, and that's dangerous. And so you need to leave your world sometimes to see how other people think, so that your mind can be cross-pollinated with other ideas, and your mind needs to be irrigated so that you can think differently, so that you can see differently. If you're a doctor and you run with all the people who are doctors, you are going to think medically. And so as a doctor, you need a banker in your company. As a doctor, you need a lawyer. As a pastor, you need a lawyer as well. You need somebody who sees the world differently from you. So when they talk to you and speak to you, your mind can be irrigated. And yes, you need to take a step outside of your world sometimes to view the world from the perspective of others so that your mind can change. And sometimes the truth is we have to be able to let go some of the thoughts that we have that is not true, because many things that we are told when we're growing up, it is not true. Things like the sky is the limit, the sky is not the limit. What you can achieve and where you are from, and some of those misconceptions about life, the limitation that people in Bagua had placed on me. I have to challenge those concepts and realize that those people were never further than Bagua. They have never crossed the Caribbean Sea. They have never leave Jamaica. And so sometimes their perspective on life was so small, and they have transferred those limitations for me. And so for you, you have to leave your world, step outside of your world, integrate with other people, talk to them and see what they see from their perspective of life.
Awesome. I love it. So it starts with the mind. Get rid of the limiting beliefs. You need to find what I would call success models. And that's what our guests are saying to us. And the environment really matters. You have to get out of your environment. I know everybody watching, you're not Christians, but Jesus could do no mighty miracles in his hometown. He had to leave. And sometimes for you to thrive, you have to change environment. And that leads me to your book. As we switch gears a bit, for those who want more information in terms of how do I rise above my situation to achieve success, I want to recommend to you 30 Days to a Renewed Mind, Change Your Mind, Change Your Life by Jamar and Natassia Wright. So you want to go on Amazon and get that. We're going to bring the interview to a close, but we can't let them go without talking about their author journey. They've been in the author business long before me, at least a year before me. So talk to us a little bit about that process. How did you go about writing and publishing your books? Because the first one was 2014. The next one was 2016. So talk to us about what you did way back when and what authors and aspiring authors need to bear in mind today.
Okay, no problem. In all honesty, when it comes to the book writing, this is the genius behind it, and I'm not afraid to say that because we're a couple. We both have different gifts. And so Jamar is the one who will sit and write pages upon pages per day, right? And he is so strategic. He plans. Let me tell you, for all the aspiring authors out there, if you can't sit and write 10 pages a day, you can write 1 page per day. But you need to ensure that you're disciplining yourself to start, right? So he would strategize, decide on how many pages he's going to write per day. And before you know it, once you stick to it, the book will be complete. Now, from 2014, we actually created Mindful Publishers, but then we decided that, boy, publishing is not our core, because we publish our own books. All our books are self-published. We decided, boy, that's not our core. Our hands are already full with everything else, but it's still registered, it's still out there. And the first book, Mindful Recharge Your Mind, is a devotional. I love that book. Even to this day, I love that book so much. Short stories, encouraging, inspiring, to start your morning, to kickstart your morning. And that was done in 2014. Again, self-published. We went through the process of getting our ISBN numbers. We uploaded it onto Amazon in Kindle version. We did the very same with 30 Days, right? That's it. That's the baby. Love that book so much. And then the second one, which is more in-depth, we're talking about all the different mindsets, which is the 30 Days to a Renewed Mind. If you are a worrisome person, if you are an envious person, if you are the type of person that you're never content, we deal with all those different mindsets and how you can actually work through that, to be more faith-based, to be more faith-filled, and just to have an effective life. Because we have to really uproot those negative thought patterns if we really are to achieve in life. We get up every day and we see people and we say, oh, that person looks so successful. You wouldn't understand the overhauling process that it took to get that person where they are, to feel good about themselves, to speak positively. It took a process, and before you even want to have the the material side, you have to remember that there's a process to get there, and that's what this book is all about. Now, the third book, the one that is actually being published now, From Woundedness to Wholeness, is actually my story. Jamar's story is in there as well. But you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, my story is in it, but it's a book about transforming your life.
Yes.
So it's
overcoming adversity.
Yeah, I think it's about 17 chapters.
It's a big book.
It's a very big book, and the reference page, it's a lot of reference in that book. So we have to make sure that we give everybody their credit. We will pull source information from. But the writing process, I can't tell you how to sell millions of books. I'm not the best person who to market book. People sometimes say, Jamar, I don't even know your right book, because the truth is we don't even promote our own book. But we sell a few books. I don't know how, but we sell a few books. But the writing process, though, it's not a sexy process. It's not a process that you're going to get up in the morning and say, oh my God, I feel. Someone you will feel to write, but most times you're not going to feel to write. So what I would tell you to do is write regardless.
Yeah.
Write if you have nothing to write. Sometimes you want to carry around a piece of notes, and sometimes the best time I get ideas are in the morning, or when I'm washing up the plate. I get this nice, and I will just take out WhatsApp and type it and send it to Nas, and I say, what is this for? Something to post on social media. I say, no. Sometimes I just hold the thought. Sometimes I have a one-liner, but I can't find the body for it. But you need to write every day. If you write every day, you have a book with 365 pages, but you need to write every day.
I want to add too, because then you're going to have those writers who are so worried about sharing their story. You have to decide what you want to censor. You have to decide what you want to withhold. But at the end of the day, you have to ensure that a story is shared. And never be ashamed or afraid of sharing your story. When I started speaking, Jamar was the one who pushed me and said, Nas, you need to stop withholding this thing that we went through, because people are going to be blessed by it. And it's a good thing that I did, because I travel the world right now and all I share is my story. People want to hear, people want to be inspired, people want to know that they're not the only one who have gone through or is going through a particular thing. So I think everybody should write a book. You need to write one. Because somebody is going to be looking for the information that you are sharing, or looking for that testimony of how you overcame. The last thing that I want to share on this whole writer's process is that we have this philosophy of writing our book and not just trying to get some sales out of it right now. That's all well and good. We are looking at our legacy. So when we die, when we pass on to our children, they will be able to read from our book sales. They will be able to say, because the truth is, a lot of people don't get recognition until they're dead.
And the truth,
you get what I'm saying?
And the truth sometimes is that don't become disheartened if you write a book and we didn't say that it's a good book and nobody purchases the book. Because majority of the time, for example, Barack Obama, his first book only sold 100 copies, and that book never sold many copies until he became the president of America. That was 20 years. Robert Kiyosaki, when he wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, he almost sold 150 copies. And a couple of years, somehow, I don't know, he said he don't know how Oprah Winfrey get a copy of one of those 150 copies of the book. And he went on Oprah Winfrey show that day. And in 1 hour, he sold 1 million copies of that book. So if you write a book, 10 years, that book can blow up. But write the book. It creates a legacy for you. It documents what you are saying, because when you document something, when you write it, it is more impactful than even speaking something unless you're going to record it. The Bible is around because somebody has documented those words. And so link route for her to publish her book. And the last thing that I need to tell you is that you must tell story. Story sells, but facts tell. The greatest storyteller is Jesus Christ. I always look for a teachable moment in every story. If we are at the airport and the flight is delayed, that is a man in charge. That can be a story. There's some principle in it. If we are going and we see a dog, that can be a story. You must know how to tweak those stories. The GPS reroutes you. That is a story for man in charge. You can find story. But let me tell you, people love story. People love story. Stories sell, but facts tell. So use story to write your book and write your ideas.
All right, awesome. So there you have it. We could have no better way to end this summit. And I just want to ask them to talk to us about an upcoming event that they're having and just to tell us how we can find out more about who they are, Mind Food International, and what they do. So I'm going to bring up on screen the Shift Leadership Training, and then just talk to us about that, put in a little pitch about Mind Food, because I know everybody's going to contact you guys now after this inspirational session. So just take it away, Ambassador.
Sure. So Shift Leadership Training, we actually started Shift last year because, in the middle of the pandemic, we realized how corporate was struggling to find balance. I was saying, you know what, let's shift gears. And so that's how that leadership training came about. Now, this training is open to anyone, corporate, self-employed, it does not matter. We're going to be taking topics under resilience and reinvention, because everybody needs to find out, how do you work, how do you manage now dealing with employees that are, working from home. Some are coming into office. How do you balance the shifts taking place? How do you deal with the different HR matters that are going to be coming up because the workplace is more diverse? What does leadership in crisis look like? All those different topics we're going to be diving into. It's a one intensive day of training, which we will be providing a certificate of attendance. Our leadership trainings are recognized outside of Jamaica. So it is a great way to get yourself certified. At the start of the year, something to show for, your training experience. It is going to be on January 26th.
Yeah.
And you can register. There are plenty of ways to register, but just send an email to the email address on the flyer. Both Jamar and I are international speakers. We are leadership and HR practitioners. And so if you need help with your business, give us a call and we will assist you. You can reach us at www.mindfoodinternational.com. You can give us a call at 876-781-8614. Find us on Instagram at Natassia Wright or mindfood_01 and Jamar Wright on Facebook. On LinkedIn, we are everywhere. On YouTube, just Google us and you will find us.
And Mindfood is actually it's a leadership HR consultation company. So let me make it clear. It's HR and leadership consultation, and we recently add recruiting to it. So we just do three things. Only three things we do. We know a lot. So don't call us a publishing, call root. So we just so we just do three things: leadership and HR and recently recruiting. And so that's what Mindfood is. We keep it simple and we grow and expand it to the region. And so we want to transform. We want to develop people into leaders so that they can transform the world around them. That's our vision. That's it, simple. Developing people into leaders so that they can transform the world around them. Very simple. Very simple. That's our vision for life.
awesome. I want to thank Ambassadors Jamar and Natassia Wright for coming and sharing their awesome story. I know we didn't even get to touch on their love story and how they managed to do things together. So what I'm going to invite you to do, if you're watching this in the morning, join us at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, January 22. That's the final day of the summit, and you can come and ask your questions live in the Facebook group or in the Entrepreneurs Facebook group. And their details will be on the website, so you can go back on the website and read their profiles and get in touch with them. We want to just say thank you for attending the summit. If you're watching this after the summit, the recordings, both the Q&A and the interviews, will be up for 48 hours for free, and then they disappear. And if you did not get a chance to watch all the sessions, you can get the all access pass for $47 US, or you can join the Entrepreneur Secrets Academy, where we teach you how to write, publish, market and monetize your books, and you can learn how to take charge of your publishing and do it in a cost-effective manner, so that your book will become a legacy building book and your story will continue to transform lives.